Hello, sports fans. Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Thank you for stopping by our YouTube channel. Make sure to hit the subscribe and notifications toggle so you never miss a thing. All of our content up here every day. Looking forward to it. Thank you, and we'll see you on the radio.
To Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by the Hard Truth Distilling Company in Brown County, Indiana.
So for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world, it's time!
3 on the way. Oh! It went in! It went in! And Indiana wins the ball game!
Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni!
Float game for the win! Taylor's gone. Goodbye. Touchdown, Indy. Woo! IU! America! They got a football team now!
It's pretty simple. I win. Google me.
You know that I'm the cream of the crop!
Now, from the Hard Truth Studios, here's Jim Coyle.
Lord, glad to have you to another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Thursday, the beginning of NCAA tournament play, not counting the play-in games, but the real thing, baby, starts today. 16 games on tap, a full schedule for you, and a loaded schedule on the docket here for us. Off the bat, Dan Dakich will join us here in just a little bit to talk about Indiana's new coach. We'll get his thoughts, what he thinks about the hire. Bob Kravitz along as well. Looking forward to hear what Robert has to say. Tournament play underway. Some great games getting it started in the play-in games with the Xavier last night, an 86-80 win over Texas to get in. Dan joining us here in a second as he joins us, getting ready. Dan, how are you doing, my man?
All right, I just had to put my clothes on. Damn, I'm getting ready for the show, Big Jim. Hey, I'm doing wonderful. The world is a good place. We got games all day. Hell yeah, come on down to Dave and Buster's side of Indy. Let's go. We'll be there, 12 o'clock. What's going on?
Oh, man, that sounds like a fun time and a fun place to be. I'm ready. I'm ready for the games. They've already started, but it's always a great, great time of year, and I think this is going to be another one. I know the SEC has a lot of great teams, and I think Florida might be the team to do it, but that's what the NCAA tournament is for.
0-1. That's what the SEC team is, big boy. I never root for conferences, really. You know, when you're in the Big Ten and you're coaching, I rooted for everybody else to lose. I don't want to recruit against them, you know. This is the first time. I'm tired of the SEC. I'm tired of hearing about it. I'm tired of downplaying the Big Ten. I hear national dummies saying that all the time. So I'm keeping track. I agree with you on Florida. I think Auburn's going to get beat in the second round. Not sure why I feel that way. But I like me some Duke, man. I think Duke, if that kid's healthy, I think Duke's going to win. I think there's a toughness to Duke that is pretty special.
Well, you're not alone on thinking that, and they are. Cooper Flagg has been, and we saw that they were able to overcome losing him, which I was surprised because it looked like North Carolina was going to put it to them, but they're able to come back, and then they handled business and win the ACC tournament, which was surprising without him. So that bodes well for them into the tournament to me because they've learned to play with adversity by not having him.
Yeah, and they got toughness, real toughness. You know, a lot of people talk about toughness. What is toughness? I'll tell you what toughness is. You lose your two best players. You're playing in a tournament against some couple red-hot teams, and you whip their ass. You know, they beat Louisville, who won 18 games in that league. And by the way, I cannot believe Louisville is an 8th seed in this tournament. I cannot believe Creighton is an 8th seed in this tournament. It was like this. It's like they said, all right, Louisville, we're going to screw you by making an 8th seed up to you by sending you to Lexington. No. I mean, Creighton, if you'd have told me Creighton was a 4 seed, I'd have said, okay, sure, yeah, right, let's go. But my God, those two teams as an 8 seed, that's dirty business. They may still have a little pain or a little problem with Bruce Pearl, from back in the day to put those two as his second game.
And in Michigan, there's never been a team that won the Big Ten tournament and wound up as being a 5 seed. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Big Ten kind of got screwed seeding wise overall. I think there was not a lot of respect for the Big Ten, and it'd be nice to see, especially Big Ten beat some SEC teams, but just go far. Maryland has a shot to go. Illinois, I don't know why I keep thinking they've got some young talent, but they've been so up and down.
Jim, I keep thinking Illinois too, and then they get blasted, right? Maryland blasts them, or they get blasted by
Duke.
Talked to Coach Underwood after that Duke game, and he's like, "Damn, we were bang. We had nobody at practice. We were sick as a dog." Blah blah blah. Okay. Well, I don't think they were sick when they played. Was it Maryland in our Big Ten tournament? And I'm sitting there watching, Jim, and it's 30. It's like 30, and I'm like, "Whoa, wait a second. How the hell is this 30?" But you know what? It was, and you got to regroup. Talent's there, no question. But that has been the most up and down team. I'm with you. Maryland, I think, has a real shot here, particularly if that Rice kid, Rodney Rice, is making threes. We saw it in Assembly Hall, right? I mean, Indiana a couple months ago was playing the brakes off of Maryland, but that kid just kept making threes, and he made them deep and he made them tough. It's like anything else, Jim. I tell people, in fact, I was telling Jim Boeheim this yesterday. This is the wrong guy to tell him. I said, "Coach," I said, "I got a national championship ring, even though I was like a, 20th man on the totem pole because I hit a falling out of bounds jump shot, a bad shot." I said, "You don't have your second because of that." That's how important making shots is, and we saw it last night. We saw it last night with what Xavier just said. Screw this, we're going to make some threes, and we saw it with UNC on Tuesday night. I mean, God dang, that RJ Davis made all 6 of his threes, which means he's got a lot of misses coming. But whoever makes threes, man, that's the way the basketball bounces these days.
Absolutely. And speaking of threes, Wisconsin slides into that. And of all teams to be talking about threes with Wisconsin, it seems so foreign. But man, what a transformation that program has undergone with Greg Gard. He took them from being the old school Wisconsin to the newfangled offense. And when they are on like they were in the last game they won in the Big Ten tournament, setting records with threes, they can light it up. This time they won't have to play 4 days in a row, so maybe that helps keep their legs under them.
I think it's one of the greatest stories in college basketball. Like Mike Tirico and I, we would not look at the spread or the over/under when we did games, right? But I would at the table, it was like a test for Mike and I. All right, I would open it up. All right, Mike, it's Wisconsin against Michigan. What's the line? What's the line? Or the over/under? And it would always be in the 120s, right? 58, 62, 45, or less. Now, Wisconsin, they're scoring 80. Now they're scoring 75 and above. And it's great because that's what modern basketball has become. Shoot the ball, go get the ball, shoot it again. I'm loving that team. Now, you know how it goes. A matchup can get you. But of all the teams in the Big Ten that I'm really fascinated by, it is Wisconsin, because I've always said this, Jim, in the NCAA tournament, if you can't score 80, you can be upset. Meaning, if you play a game in the 50s, everybody can score 55, 60. But not every team against a good team. High Point against Purdue. High Point's a massive up and down. But can they get to 80 against a Big Ten defense? I don't know. But if Purdue can, I see them winning the game. And the same thing with Wisconsin. Now they can get into, the 80s with regularity, and it's pretty good. It's hard to beat. I'm not saying that Auburn or Creighton can't beat. I'm not saying that. I'm saying the upsets that we see usually happen in the lower numbers.
And it makes perfect sense, because if you're only scoring in the 50, it will not take much to upset that apple cart. can't wait for that to get started. But of course, a lot of eyes looking at Indiana. West Virginia fans are not happy, but of course that they lost their coach. And I do feel for them because this is their third coaching change in 21 months that they've gone through. So it sucks. But, you know, if this was the business world, this is how it is, baby.
I don't feel jack, excuse me. You know, they're cheating, lying, thieving. When I was there in 2000, the athletic director told me, if you go forward with this cheating, I'm going to destroy you. And my wife and I look and sitting in the president of the university's office going, what do you mean destroy us? My wife stood up and she said, what do you mean destroy us? And he went into that BS. They're liars. They're cheaters. They're scumbags. I hope whoever they hire does what I did, stays 8 days and says, screw this. Now, I like that they're bitching, whining, and moaning. That means DeVries did some good stuff over there, right? So
Yep.
Heartache is good for you in West Virginia basketball. I love the state. I turned down the Marshall job twice, both stupid. I should have. But at the end of the day, screw you, West Virginia. Indiana's a far better place. It's an iconic program. West Virginia is a really good program, great program. You can get to the Final Four at West Virginia, but it ain't Indiana.
Exactly, and it does not offer the resources, the in-state recruiting build that you can get. But the game has changed a lot with the transfer portal and all that. But with that, it should not and probably will not take Darren very long to develop his first roster. That will include his son, who is a pretty doggone good player.
Yeah, he's a really good player. I watched him against my son's team, Illinois State, for a couple of years. They're going to get a kid, I believe, named Enright, who didn't average a lot of points. He's from DePaul. He just announced he was transferring. He played for DeVries at Drake. But and people are going to say, well, you know, what is this? Why are you taking this kid? Well, you're going to take this Enright kid because he's one of the toughest kids in college basketball. He's one of the winningest, even though they struggled, obviously, at DePaul, but it certainly wasn't him. He's the kind of guy that you want to bring in. I said this all the time. Mike Woodson's first recruits were that Miller cop who was all about himself, headbands and buy my T-shirts and my brand and all the nonsense. And his other first recruit was Xavier Johnson that quit on two teams, one in the middle of the season. Can't bring those two in to set your culture. The guys you bring in first set your culture. And I got to tell you something. Bringing in his son, who is one of the great players in college basketball, the most coachable kids in college basketball, according to a longtime Darian DeVries assistant, and then bringing in this Enright kid, which I'm thinking is going to be announced in a couple of days or so, sets your culture. Those are the guys. Now, if Goody gets himself an extra year, he needs, oh, shoot, Jim, I don't know what I just did there.
You're good. You just took your camera off, and now you took yourself entirely out, but he'll be back on in just a second. We'll get Dan back on. He just connected himself by accident. But, yeah, we're in pretty much agreement right now. There we go. He's back. He's back.
If Goody gets an extra you and he decides he's not going to be a sulking, whining, coming off the floor me guy, then maybe I would keep him. But you sit down, you meet with all the players, you look them in the eye. They're going to give you all nonsense. Some are going to be arrogant. Some are going to say, I'm leaving. Okay, good. But Tucker DeVries, and if they do, in fact, get this Enright kid, it's a pretty good place to start your team. It's a pretty good place to start your culture, and hope they do.
Yeah, that would be great because it needs to be the way it used to be because it should be. There's no reason for it not to be. You just need the right person. And with that said, what do you think about the hire?
Well, I think it's a terrific hire. I've said this all along. Just get a normal human being in there. Just get somebody that's proven they can win. And I don't know, people are going to say, well, you got 19 and 13 for 9. Look, what he took over at West Virginia was a mess. Interim coach, all that kind of stuff. He's proven what he could do. I loved watching his teams play at Drake. His longtime assistant, Marty Richter, was my assistant at Bowling Green. I talked to him yesterday, and he's always spoken so highly of it, and I take Marty's word. He's a dude that can talk sports. He's not going to be like Woodson with me, my, I, me, I. He's not going to be a little curmudgeon like Archie Miller, a psychopath, although I don't think Tom Crean should have been fired. like Crane or a cheat in every way like Calvin Sampson. He's just a regular dude that coaches ball, is a family dude. He's going to blend in. You're going to see him at volleyball games. And that's what I've always said. Look, hire a dude. Why do we have to have these psychopaths coach Indiana? Just hire a dude that knows how to win, that is a teacher, and is tough. And by all accounts, he's tough as hell, get some technicals. I think it's an absolutely great hire. I love Ben McCollum. Had a chance to talk to Ben on Monday. Loved everything about him. And I actually text Scott Dolson, just hire Ben McCollum, give him whatever he wants, and let's go. But when I saw they were going to get DeVries, when a friend of mine hit me with a text about 4 hours before it, I said, man, that's great. Let's go. All right. My thing, though, is I've heard everybody's press conference. People say, well, did you listen to press conference? Hell no. I care less. Well, the tradition. And here's the other thing. Don't worry for a second if you're Coach DeVries about former players. I have a theory. I have a rule. I never go in business with former Indiana University men's basketball players that play right, because they're entitled. They are babies. They think they're owed something. Don't even worry about them, Coach DeVries. You do your thing, man. Seriously. Don't worry about my fat ass, Brian, anybody, none of us. Just don't worry about the family and all that. There is no family in Indiana. So don't even worry about it. Go win games. Screw that. And we'll all be kissing your ass.
Winning usually cures a lot, including that. And it reminds me of something that Brian said in an interview with the great Mike DeCourcy, was that, you look at Cignetti and you can tell he's working his ass off. He's getting up at 4:30, whatever, and he's in the recliner at midnight. That was not the feeling at all on the basketball side. It was quite the opposite. And there's a reason why you saw the winning and the incredible transformation on the football field, which is extraordinarily difficult to do. I mean, that was a walking corpse of a program that was resurrected like the Phoenix. And it should be that way in basketball, but you have to put that effort in.
Here's the great Don Fisher and I were playing golf this summer, and I will expose him because, he plays golf all the time. And on the 6th Old Oakland, he looks at me after hitting 2 out of bounds. He goes, hey, Doc, I'm out of golf balls. I'm like, damn, son, what are we, 12? I go, here's a sleeve, Fish. But anyway, I just like telling that story. It doesn't mean anything, Jim. I just like telling that story because I love Fish. But
we all do.
He told me something as we were playing. We were talking about Cignetti, and this is before the season. He said, that's the most organized coach I've ever seen come through here in any sport. And I thought, really? And then he explained to me what he's done. Because, a new coach comes in, everybody goes, rah, rah, this is different, blah, 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 blah. But when Don was explaining to me how he's got every day down to detail, all this kind of stuff, I thought, you know what, it's going to be a success. And then I had a mother of a walk-on. I was at a dinner, first part of, like, in the spring. And his mother didn't know jack squat about football. And she's complaining about Cignetti being too tough on the poor boys. Complaining he got rid of one of these wide receivers because he wouldn't go to class and how unfair that was. And my wife and I are the wrong people to tell that to, but for the first time in our lives, we shut the hell up. And then we went back to a dinner. Same people were there, actually. It was at Lucas Oil Estate charity dinner. And Jim, the difference was unbelievable. Oh, we love Coach Cignetti. Everybody does, so get in there. You can always lighten up. You can't always toughen up. Make these clowns that played at Indiana this past year understand what Indiana is about. And it isn't about former players, or it isn't about candy stripes, or it isn't about the Leal deal or any of the bullshit that these guys try to sell. It's simply about leadership and winning. And get guys in here that care more about leadership and winning than they do about their headband or their hair like Galloway, or what girl am I hanging out? What bar am I hanging out after? Or can I sell the Leal deal? Get rid of all that crap. Get guys in there that want to play basketball, bust their ass, have a great time on campus, and things will be fine.
I think we're heading in that direction. I don't want to keep you because I know you got someplace to go. Dan, don't forget, you can catch him on Outkick. And in addition to that, on 1430, the ticket in Indianapolis. So you can catch and get a double dose of Dan, or actually a triple dose of Dan Dakich today. Dan, I can't thank you enough, buddy. I know you're busy as hell.
Always, Jim. You're my man. Let's drink soon. See you, brother.
Have a great day. Enjoy the tournament. Dan Dakich joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Hello, sports fans. Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Thank you for stopping by our YouTube channel. Make sure to hit the subscribe and notifications toggle so you never miss a thing. All of our content up here every day. Looking forward to it. Thank you, and we'll see you on the radio.